Hare Krishna. Can you hear me and see my screen, please? And verify?
Yes. We can see. You hear.
Oh, you can hear?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayan Namaskritya Ram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasa Tato Jaya Budrije Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevyaha Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki. So we welcome all the Vaishnavas for connecting to this Srimad Bhagavatam discussion. We're discussing from chapter Canto 3, chapter 13, verse 11. Swatomasyama patyani sidrishyani atmano gunahi utpadashash dharmena gamayagyena purusham jaja. Sattvamasyama patyani sidrishyani atmano gunahi utpadashash dharmena gamayagyena purusham jaja. Sattvamasyam patyani sadrishyani atmano gunehi utpadishash dharmena gamayagena purusham jaja. Sah, therefore, that obedient son, tvam, as you are, asyam, in her, patyani, children, sadrishani, equally qualified, atmana, of yourself, gunehe, with the characteristics, utpad, having begotten, shas, rule, dharmena, on the principles of devotional service, gam, the world, yagya, by sacrifices, purusham, the supreme personal Godhead, judge, worship. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Translation: Since you are my very obedient son, I ask you to beget children qualified like yourself in the womb of your life. Rule the world in pursuance of the principles of devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus worship the Lord by performance of yajna. Purport. The purpose of the material creation by Brahma is clearly described herein. Every human being should beget nice children in the womb of his wife as a sacrifice for the purpose of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotional service. In the Vishnu Puran 389, it is stated, Varna ashram acharvata purushena parha puman Vishnur aradhyate pantha nanyat tat tosh karanam. One can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, by proper discharge of the principles of Varna and Ashrama. There is no alternative to pacifying the Lord by execution of the principles of the Varnashram system. I'll read this translation one more time. One can worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, by proper discharge of the principles of Varna and Ashram. There is no alternative to pacifying the Lord by execution of the principles of Varnashram system. Vishnu worship is the ultimate aim of human life. Those who take the license of married life for sense enjoyment must also take the responsibility to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and the first stepping stone is the Varnashram Dharma system. Varnashram Dharma is the systematic institution for advancing in worship of Vishnu. However, if one directly engages in the process of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it may not be necessary to undergo the disciplinary system of Varnashram Dharma. The other sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, directly engaged in devotional service, and thus they had no need to execute the principles of Varnashram Dharma. His divine grace. Gracie Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyanti Mirandasya Gyananjana Chalakaya Chakshuran Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guru. Vande Ham Shri Guru. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamaham Dadati Swapadantikam. Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Jatpadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnamam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sadhavetam Savdutam Parijana Sangitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Dalita Shri Vishakamitam Cha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deen Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchan Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Paranamami Haripriya Vanchakalpataru Vyaksha Kripa Sindhu Vicha Patita Nam Pavane Vaishnave. Ya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktapinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram. So this is a wonderful discussion going on in between Lord Brahmaji and his sons, progenitors, Swayambhu Manu. Yesterday we heard Hema Jagannath Prabhu mentioned beautifully how Swayambhu Manu is agreeing to follow the instructions of Lord Brahmaji, and Lord Brahmaji gave him the title that you're a great hero. So few points, two points I would like to highlight here. First is that many times it's very difficult for us mortal souls to see what's going on. This Srimad Bhagavatam's pastimes sometimes they seem to be contradictory in one way. That's somewhere here, some of Brahmaji's helping hand, progenitors, 4 Kumaras are not in line with Brahmaji's instructions. And then we see here Swambhu Manu is very much willing to help. So sometime we have to make some judgment here or think critically what's going on. Is that 4 Kumaras not in line? That's our acharyas tell us that we must not, these personalities, either 4 Kumaras, and we see here, I was meditating that these 4 personalities involved so far, Lord Brahmaji, 4 Kumaras, Lord Shiva, and Swambhu Manu. These are not ordinary personalities. These are 4 Mahajans out of 12 Mahajans that we worship. And Mahajans, for us to, we can't imitate the Mahajans. We are told to follow the instructions of Mahajans, the prescriptions of Mahajans, not the imitation. So if 4 Kumaras decided to go and perform devotional services directly, or Lord Shiva's style of progeny wasn't in line with Lord Brahmaji's mind at this particular point in creation, we are told to still glorify 4 Kumaras, still glorify Lord Shivaji's contribution. And they are also heroes. The point I'm getting to is, in Lord Brahmaji's eyes, 4 Kumaras are heroes, Lord Shiva's hero. And here, Swambhu Manu, in this particular context, at this particular point of creation, he's also hero. So that's one thing I thought it's because these personalities are super natural personalities. Brahmaji's body is made of Shabd Brahma. Similarly, these other personalities, the 4 Kumaras, they're not getting created because of some sensual desires. And they're direct incarnations of the Lord, and they have their own planetary systems. They have their own sampradayas. They are acharyas. So we can't imitate. We can't feel like that, yes, 4 Kumaras followed the direct devotional service path. Therefore, I can also, and I do not have to perform my yajna of following the Varna Ashram system. Here beautifully in this verse, I was appreciating so much Srila Prabhupada's, the word used here is Brahmaji's telling Swambhu Manu, lead the world. Utpada Shas. Shas means Shashan. Lead the world, govern the world by following the dharma. How you follow that dharma? Yajna Purusham Yajna. By worshipping, Yaj is worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead by performing yajna. Yagya, by generally we feel yagya means fire sacrifice. Whenever we talk about yagya, that comes in my mind. But it's much, much more than fire sacrifice. So here Srila Prabhupada translates beautifully that yagya actually here is, by quoting this verse from Vishnu Purana, is the Varna Ashram Acharvata. By following the Varna and Ashrama that's prescription given to us. Who is giving the prescription? Here Lord Brahmaji is giving the prescription to Swayambhu Manu, that please go ahead and begot children just like you, same qualifications, same characteristics, beget those children. That's part of Varnashram Dharma. Purshena Paraha Purman Vishnur Aradhate. That's how you worship. Aradhate means worshipping Vishnu. Na anyate tosh. There is no other way to satisfy the Lord other than following the yagya of performing, of going through the Varnashram system, of going through the ups and downs of life, of never leaving Krishna, of always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. Arjuna is told to fight, but also remember Krishna. Same, we are told to fight in our Varna, in our ashrama. Most of us are Grihasthas, so we're told to go through the Grihastha ashram, go through the ups and downs. Don't leave, don't run away. And then ashrama of either we're Vaishya, we're Shudra, if some of us are Kshatriya, some of us are Brahmana, we follow the Varna, we follow the ashrama. And that's what's been told. Now we are part of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, Gaudiya Vaishnava's mission. Sometimes we read that how in that Ramananda's Sambad, Ramananda, when Sri Ramananda Roy mentioned to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about Varnashram system, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked what's the highest goal and how to achieve it. And Ramananda Roy mentioned following the Varnashram Dharma, it's the first statement. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu mentioned, this is external. And then that discussion goes on very deep, very, very deep, up to the Brajavasis. That's the highest. So sometime we develop, I personally also developed that particular mentality that because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Varnashram is external and the devotion of the Brajavasi is the highest, therefore Varnashram is not important for me to follow. I don't have to be so considerate and worried and careful about it. I'm chanting and dancing and performing my devotional services, therefore I don't have to worry so much. And that led in my own life, and we see some problems. So here, Srila Prabhupada beautifully, especially we see here towards the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions the first stepping stone is the Varnashram Dharma. To worship the Supreme Personal Godhead, the first stepping stone is the Varnashram system. You follow the Varnashram system. So here we see, we have a few minutes, some examples I wanted to bring up. We can start with Braj, because we understand that Braj Bhakti is the highest. But we see either it's Vasudev and Mother Devaki, how they were protecting and waiting for Lord Krishna's appearance in the prison cell. Vasudev Maharaj was applying all kind of logic, rationals, karma, mimamsa, yoga, all kind of philosophies, but trying to become politically correct, to convince Kamsa to let go this notion that their son will be the cause of death for Kamsa. And then we see when Lord comes out of that prison cell and he's in Gokula in the with his parents as Nanda and Yashoda. Nanda and Yashodas, they were trying to protect Krishna. Krishna is with them personally, but they are trying to protect him because they are following their Varna and Ashrama. Yashoda Mai and Nanda Baba, they are following their Ashrama of Grihastha and their Varna of Vaishya and Kshatriya, because they were in their own way, they were king of the Braja. And they find that Krishna is not safe in Gokula. They move to Vrindavan. Oh, more demons are coming in Vrindavan area. Therefore, we move to Nandagaon, on top of the hill. So less demonic forces will attack us, the Brajavasis, and Krishna and Balaram. So that protection, that care, that love for the Brajavasis, for the Lord, for their son, that's following Varna Ashram Dharma. That's the yagya, that yagya of moving around. Who wants to move around? You settle down. But moving around, thinking, paining, having the pain that our son will get hurt. And we see these examples. Lord Ramachandra, he's Kshatriya, he's following his Varna Ashram Dharma. He's following his Gurudev instructions. He didn't like to kill Tataka as woman, but he's doing it because he's a student of his Guru. And he wants to follow his Varna Ashrama. As a Grihastha, he's crying for Mother Sita. He's crying for Jatayu. He's making political alliances with Sugriv and Hanumanji to conquer over Ravana. And when he comes back and he becomes the king, he actually holds twice in the morning and in the evening his assembly in Ayodhya, so that people who don't get a chance in the morning to come and see him and complain to him about different things, they can come in the evening also, perfectly following. Now I was mesmerized. I was reading Krishna book and totally mesmerized by the daily activities of Lord Krishna in Dwarka. And I want to share some of those with you. It's chapter 70 in Krishna book. Lord Krishna's daily activities, that's the name of the chapter. I'll just quickly read, where we will otherwise run out of time. After rising from bed, Lord Krishna would wash his mouth, hands, and feet and would immediately sit down and meditate. After his meditation, the Lord was regularly bathed early in the morning with clear sanctified water. Then he would change into fresh clothing, cover himself with a wrapper, and engage himself in his daily religious functions. Out of his many religious duties, the first was to offer oblation into the sacrificial fire and silently chant the Gayatri mantra. Lord Krishna, as the ideal householder, executed all the religious functions of a householder. He is a Grihastha. Lord Krishna is a Grihastha. He is husband of 16,108 queens. He is a king of Dwaraka. So he is a householder and a Kshatriya. He is a Grihastha. His ashram is Grihastha. His Varana is Kshatriya. Without deviation. When the sunrise became visible, the Lord would offer specific prayers to the sun god. The sun god and other demigods mentioned in the Vedic are described as different limbs of the body of Lord Krishna. And it is the duty of the householder to offer respects to the demigods and great sages, as well as the forefathers. In accordance with Vedic ritualistic principles, the Lord would offer respects to the demigods. The regulative principle by which the demigods and forefathers are worshipped is called tarpana, which means pleasing one's forefathers may have to take body on another planet. But by performance of this tarpana system, they become very happy wherever they may be. It is the duty of the householder to make his family members happy. And by following this tarpana system, he can make his forefather happy also. As the perfect exemplary householder, Lord Shri Krishna followed this tarpana system and offered respectful obeisances to the elderly, superior members of his family. This was beautiful read from Krishna book, chapter 70, Daily Duties of Lord Krishna. How Lord Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he actually exemplified Yad Yad Acharati Sreshta Tat Tat Evataro Guna. Because he knew he doesn't have to do any of those. He's not obliged, but he showed us by his own examples. And we see Srila Prabhupada examples. We see in somehow all of us, we see Srila Prabhupada in his sannyas ashram. We see him traveling. We see his videos in his sannyas ashram. He's preaching. He's changing the hearts of millions of people. But if we go back in 1922, and before that, but 1922 when he met his spiritual master, it took Srila Prabhupada another 11 years before he gets initiation. Another 10, 11 years before he started his Back to Godhead magazines. Almost 32 years before he left his family life as Vanaprastha. So in between 1922 and 1954 or so, almost 32 years of preparations of following his Varana and his ashrama. His Grihastha ashram of taking care of the family very properly by working for both laboratories and then having his own business. And also following his Grihastha ashram of taking care of his family. That's the purificatory process. So Varana ashram system, what I was meditating, that it's a purificatory process. It's going through the joy and the pains of life, the happinesses and the sorrows of the lives, the ups and downs, the learning, and many Srila Prabhupada disciples explained that that's one of the speciality of his divine grace, that he was very mature in his dealing with the world. Not only he was very mature worshipping the Lord and distributing this love of Godhead to millions of people, but he was also very mature of dealing with the world. Lok, Bhava, and that comes by following the Varna Ashram system. And if that, we make that as the yagya of our life. Because it's not easy. It's not easy. Many of us perform that yagya and then feel, I can't deal with it. It's too difficult, too much painful. I rather chant my Hare Krishna mantra, worship the deities and move on. But in most of us cases, that will be premature renunciation. That will be premature renunciation. And that cause problems, that cause upheavals in our minds, in our hearts, in our family lives. So we are told to become humans. Varna Ashram system, His Holiness Shivaram Swami Maharaj did some experiment in his Hungary project by saying we all should follow Varna Ashram system. Whoever is living in the Hungary congregation of that farm project, and they decided, before we become Krishna conscious, let's become humans, and Varna Ashram system can make us human. And they started lining up, writing down exactly what's required to become human. Srila Prabhupada mentions he wants his disciples to become gentlemen and gentle ladies. One interviewer asked Srila Prabhupada, how you recognize a devotee? Srila Prabhupada said he's a gentleman and gentle lady. So this performing yagya by following the Varna Ashram system is very much recommended here by Lord Brahmaji to Swayambhu Manu. It's a prescription given to the humankind by Lord Brahmaji, which is coming from the lotus mouth of Lord Vishnu in the heart of Lord Brahmaji. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much for your attentive listening. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Adhipati Prabhu, you can have the mic.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Hare. I'd like to thank you very much. I'd like to wish you all a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. We'd like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Narsingha, Shri Narsingha, Jai Jai Narsingha Deva, Praladesha, Jai Padma Mukha Padma Pringa, Ugram Viram Mahavishnam Jalantam Sarvotam Mukham, Narsingam Bhishanam Bhatram Mrityum Mrityum Namamiham.
Narsingha Bhagwan ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Let us offer our humble obeisances and trust of all the assembled Vaishnavas.
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Vaishnavinda ki jai. Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai.
Illa Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you,
Hare Krishna.
everybody.
Thank you very
Hare
much. Yeah,
Krishna.
wonderful. Thank you. Hare Krishna.